The story began when a group of aliens set out on a journey to explore a distant planet. They were highly advanced, with technology that allowed them to travel through the stars at speeds humans could not even imagine. They had carefully studied the planet from afar, analyzing its atmosphere, its weather patterns, and the life signs that flickered across their instruments. Everything about this planet seemed both dangerous and fascinating. The aliens believed themselves to be the smartest beings in the universe, creatures who could handle any challenge that came their way. They expected the planet to be either empty or to host life that was simple and weak compared to them. When their spacecraft touched down, the aliens were greeted by a world unlike any they had seen before. The skies were a strange mix of colors, swirling in patterns that shifted constantly. The air was thick and carried a scent that was hard to describe, something like metal mixed with salt and earth. The gravity felt different, pulling at them in ways that made even small movements require careful thought. They stepped out cautiously, their advanced suits protecting them from the unknown dangers around them. Yet, even with all their equipment, the feeling of stepping onto an alien world was exhilarating. There was something about the vastness and mystery of the planet that made even the most confident alien pause for a moment. The landscape was full of surprises. There were towering rock formations that looked like they were carved by some giant hand, rivers that shimmered in strange colors, and forests where the trees seemed to move ever so slightly, as if alive. The alien explorers moved slowly, scanning everything around them with careful attention. They knew that danger could be hidden in the smallest detail, whether it was a tiny creature lurking in the shadows or a sudden change in the ground beneath their feet. Their mission was simple: explore, understand, and make contact with any intelligent life they might find. But as they looked out over the wild, unpredictable land, they realized that even this simple task might be harder than they had imagined. After hours of observation, the aliens noticed signs of life in the distance. At first, they were small movements barely noticeable, like shadows flitting across the ground. Then they began to see shapes that resembled creatures walking on two legs. The aliens expected these beings to be timid and weak, easy to control or observe. They prepared themselves for a demonstration of superiority, ready to use their advanced technology to show their power if needed. Every member of the alien team felt a mix of excitement and confidence. This was the moment they had trained for, the moment that would prove to them that they were the most capable beings in the galaxy. As they approached, the aliens observed the creatures more closely. These beings were humans, though they did not yet know them as such. The humans moved with a grace and confidence that was unexpected. They were not hiding or running. They were simply going about their lives, aware of the aliens' presence but not showing fear. The aliens communicated among themselves, puzzled by what they saw. They had expected fear, submission, or at least caution. Instead, the humans seemed completely unbothered, as if they had seen dangers far greater than any alien visitor could present. The aliens felt a subtle unease, though they tried not to show it. The humans were unlike any life forms the aliens had encountered. They were smaller and less physically imposing, but their bodies were strong and adapted to survive in extreme conditions. The aliens watched as they moved through the rough terrain, leaping over obstacles, climbing rocky slopes, and navigating streams with ease. Each action demonstrated skill, intelligence, and resilience. The aliens began to whisper among themselves, their confidence wavering. These creatures were clearly intelligent, but more than that, they were capable of handling threats that the aliens had assumed would be easy to control. The alien leader decided it was time to make contact. They activated a device to communicate, a glowing panel that emitted sounds and symbols designed to convey their presence. The humans stopped in their tracks, their eyes scanning the strange light and the unfamiliar noises. But instead of fear or submission, the humans simply looked curious, as though trying to understand what these beings were and why they had come. The aliens tried again, using gestures and signals, attempting to show that they meant no harm. The humans responded with their own gestures, simple yet confident, signaling that they were aware of the aliens, but not intimidated. The aliens felt a strange tension building. This was not going as expected. Hours passed, and the aliens continued to study the humans from a distance. They tried various methods to test their reactions, sending small mechanical drones to approach, making sounds, and even using light displays. Each time, the humans responded in ways that the aliens did not predict. They adapted, avoided danger, and sometimes even used the environment to their advantage in ways that the aliens found astonishing. The more the aliens watched, the more they realized that these humans were far from ordinary. Every assumption they had made about life and intelligence was being challenged. By the end of the first day, the aliens had gathered an enormous amount of data. They had expected to assert dominance and perhaps even control, but what they found instead was a species that refused to be intimidated. The humans' courage, cleverness, and ability to survive in a harsh environment left the aliens both impressed and wary. They began to understand that this planet was not just another easy conquest or a place to study simple life forms. It was a world full of beings that could teach them lessons they had never imagined. As night fell on the alien world, the explorers gathered to review what they had observed. Their instruments were filled with readings, images, and records of the humans' activities. Each member of the team was silent, thinking about what they had seen. The humans had survived challenges that the aliens had assumed would be impossible. They had faced danger with courage and had shown resilience in ways the aliens could barely comprehend. In that quiet moment, the aliens realized that their mission had changed. They were no longer the unquestioned masters of this encounter. Instead, they had become learners trying to understand a species that refused to be measured by simple tools or assumptions. The first contact was over, but the story was just beginning. The aliens, confident yet cautious, knew that the coming days would reveal even more about these humans. Every step, every decision, and every encounter would challenge their ideas about intelligence, courage, and survival. And as they prepared for the next day, one thought ran through all of their minds. They had never met beings like this before, and they might never meet such beings again. The next morning, the aliens woke to a new day filled with anticipation. They had spent the night reviewing all the observations and data from their first encounter with the humans. What they had seen was unlike anything in their history of exploration. These beings, small in size but strong in spirit, had moved through a dangerous environment without fear. They seemed alert, intelligent, and surprisingly resourceful. The aliens could not understand how a species that appeared so fragile could survive in a world so harsh. They had expected fear, submission, or confusion from any intelligent life form. Instead, they found confidence, skill, and calm determination. The aliens prepared for closer contact. They adjusted their communication devices, practicing signals and gestures designed to express goodwill. They activated shields and scanners, expecting that some display of force might be needed to gain the humans' attention or respect. Yet, deep in their minds, a small voice of doubt whispered that perhaps they were underestimating these beings. The alien leader, who had always been confident in their superiority, felt a strange tension as they descended closer to the humans. Location. When they approached, the humans were already aware of them. They did not run or hide. Some of them paused and watched the aliens silently from a distance, while others continued their daily tasks, as if the strange visitors were simply part of the landscape. The aliens found this boldness both confusing and alarming. They had expected retreat or caution, yet these humans moved with calm assurance. Their faces were serious but not fearful, and their eyes seemed to reflect a deep understanding of danger and survival. The aliens realized that these beings were more aware of the world around them than they had first thought. The aliens decided to try communication again. They sent out sounds and light patterns, symbols meant to show peace and curiosity. The humans responded in ways the aliens did not expect. Instead of panic, they approached slowly, studying the glowing devices and strange noises. Some humans made simple gestures with their hands, pointing at objects or touching the ground. Others used small tools to demonstrate their actions, showing clever problem-solving. The aliens recorded everything, amazed by the humans' ability to understand and adapt so quickly. It became clear that these were not primitive beings. They were intelligent and clever in ways the aliens had never encountered. Curiosity grew on both sides. The aliens wanted to learn more about these humans, while the humans seemed interested in the strange creatures that had arrived on their planet. They began to circle around each other cautiously. The humans stayed alert, watching the aliens' movements, their strange suits, and the hovering devices that followed them. They did not attack or run, but their focus was sharp. Every movement the aliens made was observed and studied, as if the humans were learning quickly how to respond to any situation. The aliens could feel that they were being measured, not just watched. To test their assumptions, the aliens decided to observe the humans in action. They created small obstacles and challenges, expecting that these would reveal the humans' weaknesses. Rocks were placed in difficult positions, streams were crossed with hidden traps, and small mechanical devices were used to simulate danger. The aliens thought the humans would struggle or even fail, but each time, the humans adapted. They climbed, jumped, and used the environment creatively to overcome every challenge. Their movements were precise, fast, and clever. They seemed to anticipate danger and find solutions with a calm and natural skill that the aliens could not explain. The more the aliens observed, the more they began to doubt their earlier assumptions. They had always believed that intelligence was measured by technology and control, yet here were beings with no advanced weapons or machines, surviving in a world that was deadly, and doing so with confidence and skill. The humans' resilience and courage became evident in every action. They showed teamwork, communicating silently with gestures and understanding, helping each other through difficult tasks. The aliens realized that these humans possessed qualities that could not be measured by tools or machines, qualities that were rare, even among the most advanced civilizations. As the day progressed, the aliens tried to establish a clearer form of communication. They used sound signals, colors, and even written symbols on smooth panels. The humans responded with their own methods, drawing simple shapes, making marks in the dirt, and demonstrating actions physically. The exchange was slow but meaningful. The aliens learned that the humans were quick learners and very observant. They could understand patterns and repeat actions accurately. The humans seemed willing to engage but on their own terms, showing respect without fear, curiosity without hesitation. A small crisis arose when one of the alien drones malfunctioned, spinning out of control and threatening to fall near the humans. In a moment that surprised the aliens, the humans reacted instantly. They guided the device away using long branches and rocks, ensuring that it did not harm anyone. The aliens had assumed that any danger would cause panic, but the humans acted, logically and without fear. This single moment changed everything. The aliens began to see that these beings were not fragile or helpless. They were survivors, capable of responding calmly to sudden threats and even helping others in the process. By the end of the second day, the aliens gathered to review their findings. They were silent at first, each member thinking about what they had witnessed. The humans had survived challenges that the aliens had assumed would be impossible. They had displayed intelligence, courage, and resourcefulness in ways that could not be measured by machines. The aliens realized that their first impression of superiority was completely mistaken. What they had expected to be a simple study had turned into a humbling lesson. These humans, who lived on a harsh and dangerous world, were stronger than the aliens had imagined, stronger in mind, body, and spirit. The aliens began to discuss what this meant for their mission. They had planned to study the humans from a safe distance and perhaps guide or control them if needed. Now they were unsure. They needed to proceed carefully, because these humans were unpredictable in the best sense. They were intelligent, capable, and fearless. The aliens understood that their mission would require patience, respect, and a willingness to learn from the very beings they had expected to dominate. As night fell, the humans retreated to their homes or shelters, and the aliens recorded every detail of the day. The humans had not only survived, but had impressed them with their courage and intelligence. The aliens felt a growing sense of respect, and even a touch of fear, because they realized they were encountering beings unlike any they had ever known. They would need to be careful in the coming days, for the humans of this planet were strong, clever, and unafraid. The aliens had learned a valuable lesson. Intelligence is not just measured by technology or tools, but by courage, adaptability, and the ability to face danger with calm determination. The first contact had become something more than a simple exploration. It had turned into a careful study of a species that refused to be underestimated. The aliens could feel that the story of this encounter was only beginning, and the coming days would reveal even more about the human's strength, skill, and unbreakable spirit. The next day, the aliens decided to test the humans in ways that would challenge both their physical strength and their cleverness. They had watched quietly for 2 days and had grown increasingly curious and cautious. They wanted to understand exactly how these humans survived in such a dangerous environment and whether they could handle unexpected threats. The aliens carefully set up a series of tests, small at first, designed to provoke a reaction without causing real harm. They thought this would demonstrate their control and show the humans that they were in charge. The first test involved simple obstacles. The aliens placed heavy rocks and uneven terrain along the path where the humans often traveled. They expected hesitation, fear, and mistakes. Yet when the humans encountered these obstacles, they did not panic or stumble. Instead, they adapted immediately. They leapt over rocks with perfect timing, found safe footholds, and helped each other across difficult areas. Some humans used sticks or branches to balance, while others found natural supports in the landscape. The aliens recorded every movement, fascinated by the humans' combination of skill, balance, and quick thinking. Each action showed that these beings were not only strong, but highly intelligent in practical ways. Next, the aliens introduced small environmental challenges. They simulated sudden storms, gusts of wind, and minor tremors in the ground. They expected the humans to be thrown off balance, to retreat, or to show signs of fear. But the humans responded with calm precision. They sought shelter when needed, adjusted their movements to avoid hazards, and communicated silently with one another to coordinate their actions. The aliens realized that the humans had developed instincts for danger that far surpassed their own technology-driven methods. While the aliens relied on sensors and machines to detect threats, the humans seemed to sense danger naturally, reading signs in the wind, the earth, and the creatures around them. As the day went on, the aliens increased the difficulty of their tests. They introduced moving obstacles like mechanical creatures designed to block paths or scare the humans. They assumed that a sudden rush of a strange, unpredictable object would intimidate the humans. Instead, the humans observed carefully, assessed the situation, and responded with clever strategies. They used sticks to push obstacles aside, lured them into traps, or dodged with speed and agility. Each attempt the aliens made to intimidate them failed. Every failure left the aliens more puzzled and secretly more worried. These humans were not afraid of danger. They thrived in it. The aliens then tried to challenge the humans' problem-solving skills. They set up a series of small puzzles, using natural objects and devices from their own technology. They expected the humans to struggle, to show hesitation or confusion, but once again, the humans surprised them. They studied the objects carefully, experimented with different approaches, and solved the puzzles quickly and efficiently. Sometimes they worked together, communicating silently through gestures or shared glances. Other times, individuals took the lead, using creativity and insight that the aliens had never seen before. Each success proved that these humans were clever, resourceful, and resilient in ways that could not be measured by simple tests. The aliens began to realize that they were witnessing something extraordinary. These humans were not only survivors, they were masters of their environment. They moved with confidence, solved problems under pressure, and faced danger with courage that the aliens had never imagined. The aliens' pride began to waver. They had expected to dominate, to observe life forms that were weaker and easier to control. Instead, they found themselves watching a species that refused to be intimidated, that faced every challenge with skill, intelligence, and unshakable determination. During one particularly dramatic test, the aliens released a simulated predator, designed to appear threatening, but not cause real harm. They expected the humans to run or panic. Instead, the humans quickly assessed the predator's movements, finding patterns in its behavior. They used teamwork and ingenuity to outmaneuver it, leading it into a natural trap they had discovered in the terrain. The aliens watched in awe as the humans celebrated quietly, confident but not reckless. This event marked a turning point for the aliens. They realized that these humans were far stronger and smarter than they had ever imagined. As the day continued, the aliens tried one last experiment. They created a sudden, unexpected challenge, a combination of obstacles, moving threats, and environmental changes all at once. This test was meant to overwhelm the humans and demonstrate the aliens' superiority. Yet the humans did not hesitate. They moved with precision, coordinated silently, and adapted instantly. Some humans even used parts of the environment to protect others, showing a sense of empathy and teamwork that the aliens had not considered. Every action they took displayed intelligence, courage, and resilience. The aliens were forced to admit in the quiet of their minds that they were witnessing a level of survival and skill they could not control or predict. By the end of the day, the aliens gathered to review what they had observed. They were silent. At first, each member reflecting on the humans' performance. The tests had been designed to show the aliens' superiority, but every attempt had failed. Instead, the humans had impressed them in ways that went beyond physical strength or problem-solving. They had demonstrated patience, courage, adaptability, teamwork, and intelligence that could not be measured by machines. The aliens began to understand that the humans' strength was not just in their bodies, but in their spirit and their minds. The alien leader spoke quietly to the team, acknowledging that they had underestimated these beings. They had assumed that intelligence meant technological skill, that survival depended on machines and tools. But the humans had shown that true intelligence and strength could come from courage, creativity, and an unyielding will to survive. The aliens felt a mixture of awe and unease. They had expected to teach, to guide, to control. Instead, they had learned a humbling lesson from creatures they had thought were small and weak. As night fell, the humans returned to their shelters, calm and unshaken by the day's challenges. The aliens recorded every detail, their instruments filled with data, images, and notes. They had expected fear, hesitation, and submission. What they had found instead was courage, ingenuity, and resilience beyond anything they had ever imagined. The aliens understood that the humans of this planet were extraordinary. They had survived challenges that would have defeated even highly trained alien teams, and they had done so with intelligence, teamwork, and calm determination. The events of the day left the aliens both impressed and cautious. They knew that the next encounters would require respect, patience, and careful observation. The humans were not only survivors, they were formidable beings in their own right. The aliens could no longer approach their mission with pride or arrogance. They had learned a vital lesson. True strength comes not from machines or technology alone, but from courage, intelligence, and the ability to face danger without fear. As the stars began to shine over the alien world, the explorers sat in silence, reflecting on what they had seen. The humans had passed every test, faced every challenge, and remained unbroken. The aliens knew that they had entered a new chapter of exploration, one in which they would not be the masters, but learners, observers, and perhaps even students of the extraordinary beings they had found. The story of the Deathworlders, the humans, was only beginning, and the aliens were starting to realize that it would change their understanding of life, survival, and intelligence forever. The next day dawned with an unusual tension in the air. The aliens had grown both impressed and cautious after the previous tests. They knew the humans were clever, strong, and fearless, but they still hoped that an unexpected event might reveal some weakness. However, fate had a different plan. As the alien team moved across the rocky terrain, a sudden and violent storm erupted. Fierce winds howled across the landscape, tossing rocks, debris, and even small pieces of alien equipment into the air. Lightning struck close by, and the ground trembled from hidden seismic activity. The aliens' shields and suits worked perfectly, protecting them physically, but the storm was overwhelming and unpredictable. For the first time, the aliens felt real fear. The humans, however, moved calmly through the chaos. They were perfectly aware of the danger, yet they did not panic. Some led others to safer spots, pointing out natural cover, while others used makeshift tools to stabilize the ground or hold back falling debris. Their movements were precise, careful, and instinctive. It was clear that the storm, which had terrified the advanced aliens, was an everyday challenge for these humans. Their skill in navigating danger was extraordinary, a combination of physical ability, knowledge of the environment, and quick thinking. A particularly dramatic moment occurred when a large rock slid down a slope, threatening to crush one of the aliens' devices. A human leapt forward without hesitation, using a sturdy branch to push the rock aside just in time. The aliens watched in astonishment. They had assumed that any sudden danger would overwhelm these humans, but instead, the humans acted decisively and effectively. Each human seemed to understand instinctively where to be, how to move, and what to do to protect both themselves and others. The aliens realized that the humans' courage was not reckless. It was intelligent, controlled, and precise. In the midst of the storm, one of the alien vehicles became unstable on the uneven ground. It began to tip dangerously toward a ravine, and no amount of technology could correct it in time. Panic would have been a natural reaction for most species, but the humans stepped forward immediately. They coordinated silently, forming a human chain to stabilize the vehicle, using ropes and natural materials to secure it. Slowly, carefully, and with incredible teamwork, they prevented disaster. The aliens could only watch, amazed and humbled. They had relied on technology and training for safety, but the humans had relied on skill, courage, and cooperation, and succeeded where the aliens would have failed. After the storm subsided, the aliens gathered to assess the situation. They were shaken, not by physical harm, but by the realization of the humans' extraordinary abilities. These beings, who seemed fragile and ordinary at first glance, had demonstrated resilience and bravery far beyond anything the aliens had imagined. The previous days had shown intelligence and problem-solving, but this event had revealed courage and adaptability in extreme conditions. The humans were not just survivors. They were masters of their environment in ways that technology could not measure. The aliens' respect for the humans deepened. For the first time, they understood that this species could not be underestimated. The humans had faced extreme danger, unpredictable and lethal, and had responded with calm, clever, and effective actions. The aliens began to see that true strength was not just physical or technological, but also mental and emotional, qualities these humans had in abundance. The storm had been a turning point, changing the aliens' perspective completely. That evening, as the humans returned to their shelters, the aliens discussed their findings. They spoke quietly, carefully choosing words that reflected both awe and caution. They realized that the humans had saved not only themselves but also parts of the alien team from serious harm. Without the humans' actions, the aliens' mission could have been compromised and their pride would have been replaced with regret. This acknowledgement marked a new phase in their interaction, a shift from observation and testing to respect and gratitude. The alien leader made a note to record everything in detail. The humans had proven themselves beyond any doubt. They had survived challenges that the aliens had created, navigated dangers that technology alone could not manage, and saved lives through intelligence, courage, and teamwork. The aliens understood that these beings were exceptional. Their initial mission had been to explore and study, but now it had evolved into something far more meaningful. The aliens had learned a valuable lesson. The human strength was in their spirit, their cooperation, and their ability to remain calm under pressure. As night fell, the alien team watched the humans from a distance. They moved among their shelters, caring for one another and ensuring safety. The aliens could see pride, care, and intelligence in every action. They realized that they had entered into a relationship that would require respect, humility, and understanding. These humans were not simply creatures to be studied. They were teachers in courage, resilience, and survival. For the first time, the aliens felt fear not as a tool of intimidation, but as a recognition of greatness. They knew that the story of these humans, the Deathworlders, was far from over. and that every next encounter would teach them even more about bravery, intelligence, and the unyielding human spirit. The following days were quieter, but the tension and fascination between the aliens and humans continued to grow. The aliens were no longer testing the humans for weakness. They had seen enough to understand that these beings were extraordinary. Instead, they focused on observing, learning, and interacting in ways that respected the humans' skill and intelligence. The humans, for their part, seemed aware of the aliens' interest but never showed fear or submission. They maintained their calm, practical approach to life, moving with purpose, cooperating silently, and always staying alert to the dangers of their world. The aliens decided to approach the humans with a gesture of goodwill. They attempted communication again, using symbols, sounds, and gestures that had proven effective before. The humans responded slowly at first, curious and cautious, but soon began to engage. They demonstrated basic principles of their daily life, shared methods of navigating the landscape, and even showed small but clever solutions to problems the aliens had not considered. Each interaction was a lesson, and the aliens took careful notes. They realized that intelligence was not measured by technology alone, but by creativity, adaptability, and courage. A particularly important moment came when the aliens faced a sudden natural hazard. A steep cliff threatened to collapse near their camp. The humans immediately acted. They worked together, directing the aliens to safer paths, using ropes and makeshift supports, and stabilizing the environment as much as possible. Every movement was calculated, efficient, and effective. The aliens, despite their advanced tools, could not have managed the situation so quickly. The humans' experience, intuition, and teamwork had saved the day. It was a clear demonstration that survival and intelligence were about more than technology. They were about skill, courage, and cooperation. Over the next few days, the aliens began to rely on the humans in small ways. They allowed the humans to guide them through the most dangerous terrain, to choose paths that were safer, and to demonstrate methods of overcoming challenges. Each time the humans acted, the aliens felt a growing respect and a deep sense of humility. They had assumed superiority but were constantly reminded of the humans' remarkable abilities. The humans, however, did not show arrogance or pride. They simply acted with calm confidence, aware of their environment and committed to the safety of all. The alien team started to notice subtle qualities that made the humans exceptional. They were not only clever and brave, but they cared for one another. When one human was tired or injured, others helped without hesitation. When danger approached, they protected each other instinctively. Their intelligence was not only individual, but collective. They communicated silently and effectively, anticipating needs and solving problems as a group. The aliens realized that this combination of courage, intelligence, and cooperation was what made the humans so extraordinary. One evening, as the alien team observed from a safe distance, a small human child approached a curious alien device. Instead of fear, the child examined it carefully, touching buttons and panels, testing responses. The aliens held their breath, expecting disaster, but the child's actions were thoughtful, precise, and surprisingly clever. The device remained unharmed, and the child learned something new without any danger. The aliens felt awe at this display. Courage, curiosity, and intelligence existed even in the youngest humans. It was clear that this species was built for survival and learning in ways that went far beyond technology or strength alone. The aliens finally realized that they had been wrong to approach this mission with assumptions of superiority. These humans were not simple creatures to be observed. They were extraordinary in every sense. Their strength, intelligence, and bravery had humbled the aliens. Every challenge they had faced, every danger they had overcome, and every clever solution they had devised had earned the aliens' respect. By the end of their stay, the aliens no longer saw themselves as explorers of a simple world. They saw themselves as learners in the presence of beings whose courage, intelligence, and spirit could not be measured by tools or technology, as the Stories